Charlie Kirk erupts on a college student as the guy defends an MS-13 gang member. All right, the guy gets smoked for having such a crazy viewpoint. So with that being said, folks, we're gonna hop right into the video, but first do me a huge favor here, like our video and share it around so we can keep bringing you all this great hard-hitting content. And as always, Patriots, I'm your host Darian, and this is Resist the Mainstream.
Thank you. Let's start off by laying some things that I think you and I would both agree on first. I'm sure you like our Constitution. I'm sure you're a big fan of our Bill of Rights, the habeas corpus, inclusion in the, before even the Bill of Rights, in the Constitution itself. When we look at the current league of deportations that's happening, particularly when it predates to Kilmar Abrego Garcia, right? He is a man who hasn't had his due process. He never had his day in court.
That's not true. You know that he spent 4 years in court from 2017 to 2021. In fact, so much so that the judge even ruled on his immigration status, saying that he could be deported at any time for any reason.
That court order actually lapsed, so it wasn't valid at the time of his deportation. If we want to go through these, we need people to have their habeas corpus rights. We need people to have the ability to show up in court and actually exemplify their have their case be heard in front of a judge, be heard by a jury of their jury of their peers, pardon, and yeah, have a chance to be.
Okay, but again, I've done this so many times. Let me just pause, and I don't mean to pick on you. How hard the left is fighting for this MS-13 bag is just remarkable to me. It's like I'm not trying to pick on you. Let me let me make a broad statement.
The worst person in the world. He could be an absolute.
Be a U.S. citizen.
No.
Oh, that actually changes things.
It does, absolutely.
And so,
but it does not change
due process. Yes, it does. The Alien Enemies Act says you do. Hey, that's not correct.
Okay.
The Alien Enemies Act says you do not have to give due process to those that you are deporting. It is not correct. So they invoked the Alien Enemies Act.
What does it take to invoke that act?
And signature from the President of the United States to say that you are being invaded by a foreign power or assisted by a certain force on enemy ground.
Correct.
He was part of MS-13, which is a paramilitary arm of the Venezuelan government.
So, but in order to enact that act, don't we need a war declaration?
Oh, yeah. No, that's what he did on day one. He said that we're being invaded.
Does he have that power?
Yes.
I thought that was a congressionally approved
No,
thing.
that's not correct. The President of the United States has an ability within a 90-day emergency clause window to say that we are being invaded by a special power. It's called the War Powers Act of 1990-something. The War Powers Act gives the President the authority for 90 to 100 days to declare that we are being invaded. And we have been invaded, by the way, by MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. It's a material fact.
You'll often hear leftists absolutely scoff at the idea that, what we have, this crisis at the southern border in the United States, is an invasion. Oh, that's ridiculous, they'll sneer. That's absurd. You're absurd. While conveniently never explaining why you're absurd for pointing out the obvious. I don't know. Maybe it's because over 10 million people illegally entered the United States while Joe Biden was in office in just that time period. All right, over 10 million. If that's not an invasion, well, what the hell is? Honest question.
Okay. One of the things that's super important when we consider law is the spirit of the law. And do we really believe that these laws were enacted with the spirit in mind of gangs being associated as arms of a state?
Potentially.
MS-13 and Tren de Aragua are not Venezuelan arms. They're not.
No, MS-13 is. That's not correct. But let me throw it back at you. MS-13 is El Salvadorian and also Venezuela. Yeah, Tren de Aragua is Venezuela. MS-13 is El Salvadorian. He signed declaration of invasions against both. But let me challenge you on this, because you're coming after this in good faith. Was the First Amendment written in the spirit of Facebook posts?
Can you clarify a little bit?
The First Amendment,
yeah,
part of the Bill of Rights, ratified in 1791, was it written in the spirit that it shall apply to tweets?
Not to private corporations.
Well, no, meaning like, do your free speech rights apply also to the internet?
So it applies to public squares. The question that we're having now is Facebook a public square? Are Twitter public squares?
It's a separate issue. The issue is that we would all agree that you have a First Amendment right to express yourself and the government can't throw you in prison regardless of where you have it.
100%,
Whether you write a newspaper op-ed or whether you do a Facebook post, right? You have a First Amendment right to do that. The point being is you say, well, the spirit of the law in 1798, it doesn't matter if a law is old. It matters what moral claim is the law trying to make, because times sort of change, but people do not. Human nature goes unchanged. And so the point being is the Alien Enemies Act has been invoked 4 times in our nation's history. War of 1812, Civil War, World War I, World War II. And I believe totally appropriately invoked here. It's been enjoined by the Supreme Court right now, so we'll find out its future. But when you have 15 million people come into your country in a span of 4 years, that is definitionally an invasion.
Yeah. I gotta say real quick, this guy might be the only leftist I've ever seen who actually agrees with free speech in the First Amendment. Most of them will say, but hate speech. Nothing from this guy, so kudos to him.
I guess an invasion requires a certain commitment from a state, right? It's a big difference between an invasion and an immigration wave is whether there's a state operating.
Or a force. The cartels, man. The cartels operate like a state. The cartels are the reason that a lot of these people are able to make it up to the border. They pay money to the cartels. The cartels are using drones. They're using speedboats. They're using helicopters. The cartels act like a government. In fact, the cartels run the Mexican government. The Sinaloa drug cartel is more powerful than the Mexican Mexican government.
I would agree with labeling these terrorist organizations. I think they have the funding. They operate. They have such. But there's a key distinction between a government entity and a terrorist organization.
Hold on a second. We declared war on Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
What government was Al Qaeda?
We can declare war on terrorist organizations.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. So, if we signed the Alien Enemies Act against Al Qaeda, it would have been perfectly fair and appropriate, obviously. And Al Qaeda is not a government. What I'm saying though is that the cartels, the MS-13 and Tren de Aragua, they are being supported by governments. They're harbored in governments. The Alien Enemies Act, of course, applies to them. These are enemies here on the mainland of America doing harm. Okay. And Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13. He was a wife beater, a child abuser, here illegally. He had a deportation notice on his head. And now he's back in his country of El Salvador. And we should be happy that he's home.
So MS-13 and Tren de Agua are both states at the end of the day. A state, simply put and defined, is a monopoly on violence. Yeah. You could argue that they very much have a monopoly on violence, especially in the territories that they control.
I can grant you that he might be all these things. It does not mean that he doesn't get a day in court.
But as a non-U.S. citizen, though, the Alien Enemies Act allow us to expeditiously remove him. It's just the way it works. I mean,
no, you're right. But
now that's not the case.
We can argue whether that was a correct invocation, right?
That's irrelevant. The Supreme Court has now said no more, so there will be no more. But in that specific case, nothing was done illegally. The only argument you might have is that the judge says you could deport him anywhere except El Salvador. So we probably should have just deported him to, I don't know, the Congo, and everyone would have been happier. Hilariously, they said, oh, he's in a foreign jail. No, he's not in a foreign jail. He's an El Salvadorian in his own country. He's not an American. If he would have went to Gitmo, that would have been a foreign jail.
Yeah. Okay. And then, let's see.
Thank you.
I think that's it for me. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Could I ask you for a red hat?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks. Great question.
Well, hey, that was a nice ending. I enjoyed it. I do got to say, if we gave due process to every single illegal immigrant who's in the United States, as due process meaning the full constitutional rights afforded to an American citizen, guess what? We would never get mass deportations done, which, unpopular opinion, I don't think we will. I hope we do, and I pray for it, but if the leftist courts get their way, which it seems they are, well, sounds like we're gonna have a lot of people staying here because you have all these court processes delaying things. Not to get too into it, but I once talked to an illegal immigrant who I just met at the airport a couple years back. He was caught by Border Patrol, released, and then he was on a taxpayer-funded flight across the country, of course, typical stuff. His court date was in about 3 years from when he was caught. And you think he's gonna show up to that? Of course not. So, I don't know. Unless there's some serious changes here, particularly with the judges and, not letting them get in the way of the Trump administration, who knows how this is going to end up. I pray the right way. With all that being said, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We truly appreciate it. As always, comment below. Let us know what you like about the clip, what kind of stuff you want to see in the future, and we'll see you again soon. Oh, and hit that subscribe button. We appreciate it. That'll help us out. And for those who have subscribed, God bless you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Peace.